So, in one way, we are very lucky that the teachings, lineage really still exists. In one way, now very hard to find someone like Kyabje Rinpoche in our times. So I tell the people who are connected with me, saying that your source of ultimate source of inspiration can be Kyabje Rinpoche, even though he is physically not with us. His spiritual energy is very much alive. And we can use modern technology methods, the photos, the audio kind of recordings, the videos, and then studying about their life story or some other great master's life story, so that we get inspired, we get devotion. Because even though physically not with us, we can still somehow connect with him. So likewise, that generation of master, like Kyabje Rinpoche, and those are not physically with us, but their spiritual energy very much there. So we can always, ultimate source of inspiration can always be them, even not physically with us. Because I think, like here it says, having these three kinds of faith, it's very important. We get really inspiration. It's a very important kind of main kind of pushing into our path, main kind of driving force into our path. So I think first having this kind of faith devotion towards Master who is physically even not with us, then by learning, by reading their life stories, hearing about their life stories, so that we get inspired. 세계에 대표주는 현실교육은 대화선을 루지타고 지선하는 진실 없이 단위와 바르기로. 오케이. 저는 지금 시험에 대해서 수준 정도 때문에 중간사 정화, 내중원도 정화 지선하는 진실 없이 바르기로 준비도 하는 동생 공부도 되게 절대 받는 Part 2, good in the middle. The main subject of the text, which has 7 subdivisions. The preliminaries, the basis for practice. May the precious masters grant their blessings so that I may train thoroughly in the preliminaries, recognizing how hard it is to gain the freedoms and advantages and how easily they are lost, so that I strive always to act in accordance with the laws of karma, adopting wholesome deeds and avoiding what is harmful, and develop a genuine renunciation for samsara. So we talk about one drop of preliminary practice, beginning of Vajrayana practice. There is all this kind of structure. Momando, prostration, yoga, Bodhisattva, all those practices. But essence, the most important momando is to contemplate on this the 4 thoughts. So similarly, here also emphasize on these 4 thoughts. The 4 thoughts should be the very reason why we want to practice the Dharma. Therefore, it calls like foundation. If you want to build a house, you need a very strong foundation. So once you have a strong foundation, then you can build, no matter how high you can build. So similarly, this kind of 4 thoughts is like a foundation to have all the practice, base for all the practice. I think I covered a little bit in the beginning of the teaching that compared to our world population, the very, very small number of people who wants to do something meaningful with their life, and out of which those who wants to do some meaningful, give some meaning to one's life, then finding the right and the path or finding the right kind of method. It's very, very rare. In the teachings, like perfect words of my teacher, very detailed emphasis on the different forms of life, the different realms. But it sort of emphasized so much on how precious to get a human life, within human life, to find the right path is very, very rare. So these are not just mere intellectual understanding, only knowing how to count the 18 favorable and unfavorable conditions, not just knowing how to count, but I think we have to think and really try to feel in our mind. It is to feel that the opportunity, to understand the opportunity that we have with this precious human life, to really feel that opportunity that we don't want to miss. The potential that we have, the Buddha nature, possibility of becoming Buddha. So understanding all this makes us feel that how fortunate we are, that what kind of potential that we have. And then, of course, the impermanence, the time is very limited. The contemplating on impermanence. You hear a story of some Tibetan masters, very hardship condition, they are meditating in the mountains. Like in Khyentse, Rinpoche's place. Together he did 20 years of retreat. Sometimes very high in the mountain, isolated. So this kind of determination, how you get this determination? Because contemplating on all these four thoughts, then it becomes how important it is not to waste time, not to just let this opportunity go. Someone like Kyabje Rinpoche, I think his action, or his life, it is all life is teaching, showing us how to practice. He gets up every day, like 3, 4 in the morning, till 11 o'clock. He has to finish all his practice. And for us, we live in this very dissected world. So it's very challenging for us, but sometimes we do, I do 1 hour meditation, I did so much in day. When you think of how much Khyentse Rinpoche was practiced, it is embarrassing to show up saying, I did a 1 hour meditation. That's including me also. So, just to give you a perspective, if you have a million, not Indonesian rupee, but let's say $1 million, American dollar, to someone who doesn't have much means of living, someone who doesn't, not so rich, suddenly someone give you $1 million. You have 24 hours to do whatever you want to buy. After 24 hours, the money, whatever leftover money is going back. Will you just sit in a Starbucks and drink coffee and relax? I don't think so. We will run like crazy, buying everything we want, right? So, from thinking of that perspective, our time is very limited. We have very much limited time, and that's, I think, we are wasting, if we waste at least few hours a day, it's pity. Yesterday, this place, Kasih? No, we went to Gunung Patang. I went to Gunung Patang yesterday. You know Gunung Patang? Gunung Patang. Gunung Patang? Gunung Patang. You don't know? You're not from Jakarta. It's a pyramid. It's supposed to be a pyramid. Okay. Some people think maybe it's 10,000 years old. It's funny, we didn't really plan to go before. I was looking some documentary. about prehistoric places, and then this sort of come up. I was quite interested, and then my friend said, "Oh, you want to go? Let's go." So then we went quite far, 3 hours drive. So, for example, if that's like 10,000 years old, now there's nothing. So we live about 100 years. So if 100 years in 10,000 years, we're just like a fly born, time frame. I always, when I visited this prehistory, we are just like insects. For a short moment, you come, you disappear. I mean, since that pyramid built, I don't know how many hundreds and thousands of people, we don't even know the names. There's not even a trace unless those rocks, isn't it? So it sort of shows that how time is so short. They keep hearing this, someone died here, someone died there. How many people we know last year, they are born this year? But these are all kind of message that we are also, any day, any moment. Are we prepared? Did we do something? Yeah? Here's a funny story. One guy became friends with the Lord of the Death. So he became friend. So then one day, the Lord of the Death came to see him. And he said, "Oh, why you come here?" He said, "Oh, I come to collect the guy not far from your village. I come to collect him." Okay. And next, a few days again, he comes back. So why are you here? I said, "I come to collect your friend from not far from here." He said, "Okay." Then one day he comes and he says, "Why you are here?" I said, "I come to collect you." Then he said, "Why don't you tell me before? I'm not ready. I haven't prepared anything. Why don't you warn me?" And he said, "I warned you twice already." He came twice before. So every time we hear someone dies, we have to remind ourselves, I'm also next. When we see someone dies, I think we have to think, because we have kind of tendency in that I'm not like them, something like that. So I think every time we hear someone dies, if you are a practitioner, you're supposed to think any day that could be me. So how do you prepare for death? Is that learning how to live properly, following the law of the cause and effect, understanding that very carefully, trying our best not to accumulate any negative karmic deeds. Because also very much sense, it's for this law of the karma, it's most important is our intention, our motivation, intention. So if you don't have always sort of check your own intention, whatever we do, without hate or without negative emotions, whatever we do, not out of competition or not out of wanting to hurt others, then I think our karma positive is not falling into the category of negative karma, negative karmic deeds. It is said that contemplating on precious human life is to turn our mind into Dharma, because you should understand the preciousness of this precious human life. Contemplating on the impermanent, it is like a whip. If you want a horse to go fast, then you whip the horse, it goes faster. So similarly, contemplating again that everything can be impermanent, then puts your mind to focusing more on the practice. And then having fully kind of trust in law of the karma, analyzing our intention. So sometimes we can also deceive ourselves, thinking that, oh, I'm doing such a positive karma. But if you analyze, sometimes behind all this action, then if you have a negative thoughts, out of pride or out of show, then even it looks like positive, it can become negative. So more important is our intention. And sometimes it can look a little bit negative, but with good intention, can be positive. So it's not so much on the actions, but more important in our intention. So that's very, very logical also. Even I think in the court, the cases about the police case, always they talk about motive. If there's some crime, always they say motive. Is there any motive, right? So very similar. I think our motive and that, I think only we can know. People cannot understand. From outside, people can look like so virtuous, but inversely, if the motive is not correct, then it's not virtuous. So these four thoughts, the precious human life, impermanence, and having fully kind of a trust in law of the karma, and then understanding the suffering of the samsara. So these four thoughts are the very base must have in order to be on the right track. So if these thoughts, the reason, because of these four thoughts, then you want to practice the Dharma, then I think it's on the right track. So without this kind of four thoughts, then there's a danger that our practice can be kind of relative. Chuji, worldly kind of practice. Mundane practice. Even some of you practice in Wangpo, then I think it's important to take little time and contemplate these four thoughts. Either can be focused on one subject, or you can just each subject give a few minutes, just contemplating on that before you get into the main practice. So that way you set your goal right. So I think sometimes some teachers said the Wangpo practice is sometimes even more important than what we call the main practice. So that if you can practice Wangpo properly, then I think that is very important. So sometimes it says, it is more essential that you focus on Wangpo properly. But sometimes we want to go to the next level, so we sort of quickly and finish Wangpo, and then we want to jump into the main practice. Eventually, then we want to jump to exhaustion. So without sort of really hurrying, then the practice has to be done properly. Okay, then, 이번 것이 자주 쓰는 종원의 선생님의 인수장의 다전대도 본인 상호 자주 쓰는 다음과 지진하는 진실없이.
The second part, which is the main part of the instruction, training in Bodhichitta. May the precious masters grant their blessings, so that I may always cultivate the two types of Bodhichitta, purifying my dualistic perceptions, which have no basis in reality, into all-pervading space, and practicing the profound exchange of my own happiness, for others' suffering.
Yes, so there are different methods of teaching or practice. Sometimes we focus on relative bodhicitta first, and then focus on absolute bodhicitta. But here, I think first is to understand a little bit of the absolute bodhicitta. Then, secondly, we focus on the relative bodhicitta. So we start with analytic meditation, analyzing. This is thinking. All the outer perceptions, outer phenomena. Then using our intelligence thinking. Example, when we see a table, we use an example of table. We call this a table. Then when you take the legs apart, and then it's piles of pieces of wood put together, the table is gone. And then the pieces of wood, you cut into small pieces, up to sawdust, it becomes powder. Then again you go into detail. There's only like atoms. So this is focusing first example like on the table. And similarly, you can implement this kind of technique towards like a house or a mountain. All the things that sort of appear to be solid and real. So using a little bit of your analytic thinking, then everything sort of nothing but some kind of atom. And also atom, if you think within the atom itself, and ultimately it becomes empty. So similarly, many things, if you sort of analyze, it sort of doesn't really make sense. Example, if you have an incense, it's a long incense, and then you have a short incense. So because of this long incense, then you see this is a short incense. But then if you bring another longer incense, the long incense become a medium incense, right? So this is all kind of labeled by sort of based on Dharma, dependence, mutual dependence. Very similarly, dark against white, beauty against ugly, good against bad. So by using this kind of analytic meditation, there are many things that we think is solid, we think it's real. So slowly, sort of, there's no kind of base. So many of you went to modern school, so I'm sure in the science lab, you've already seen those with the, what you call microscopic. You look at anything, when you blow up, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of times, then it becomes kind of like a space. And it says our body is also, of course, everything, but also body, they say 99% space. Something like that. The scientists will say 99% space. And if you ask what is this 1%, they don't have answer. Then also, if you look back into our own mind, who perceives all this kind of thing, and that also, what we call mind, it's just continuity, like a stream, continuity, past, present, future, sort of continuity. There's no sort of one solid thing. Example, we have a name for river. So we have a name, but if you ask, the name belongs to what? The river is constantly moving. So same thing, our mind is also constantly moving. So there's no such thing as solid kind of entity. So, example, we think we are so and so, Mr. or Mrs. so and so. What is the relation between you and your name? You are not born with your name. Name was labeled afterwards. So, when you are born, you are just a baby crying, unidentified crying object. Then you get a name, then you think that is me. Then slowly, somehow that kind of attachment comes. Thinking this is me, and then becomes very important. So of course, to get more understanding, maybe read in the many different sutras and teachings, emphasize on emptiness, so to get little kind of course we cannot experience, that means very high level. So mere kind of understanding of what all this perception, behind all this perception is. There's not such thing as a really solid entity. Just to get near and understanding, intellectually understanding. So we ultimately there's kind of understanding of emptiness. It sort of gives us or tells us there's possibility of enlightenment. Because of not understanding reality, sort of caught into this kind of relative recipe, then we all fall into samsara, or we all suffer, not understanding the truth. So when you see the possibility of enlightenment, then those who are not understanding that, not seeing that, then they fall into the suffering of the samsara. And that's how your strong, genuine kind of compassion it grows. Compassion, genuine compassion. The more you understand emptiness, the more your compassion grows, because more you see a possibility. Otherwise, if you don't see a possibility, then I'm in samsara, you're in samsara, so why should I feel compassion? So you feel this possibility, then you want not only yourself but others to be free, so therefore you grow compassion. Example, just to give a scenario example, you have a very good friend from Himalaya, fall into the ocean. Your very good friend fall into the ocean. The reason why I'm saying Himalayan is because most of us don't know how to swim. So he is struggling, he's going to drown. He's trying very hard, coming towards you, trying to do this, but he's going to drown. So you feel helpless because he doesn't know how to swim. But then there is an island just behind him. If he turns, he can be saved, but he cannot see that island. And he is struggling and he's going to drown. He cannot see the possibility of being saved. See the difference, there's possibility and he's going to drown, then you feel such a strong, oh, I wish he can turn that way. But if there's no possibility, then what can we do? Sorry, bye-bye. They can drown, there's not much you can do. So the example is that understanding of emptiness, understanding of possibility to enlightenment, then you see all mother sentient beings not seeing this possibility, then it sort of grows very strong kind of compassion. So I think therefore first understanding a little bit of absolute bodhicitta to get the understanding of where you want all sentient beings to be, to bring all sentient beings to. And then the second one is the relative bodhicitta. So it's quite often it says that maybe if we are beginning training your mind, then maybe start with someone close to you, someone you love, someone you care. Focus on that person, wish that person to be happy, wish that person will not suffer. So this kind of genuine kind of loving kindness, try to develop to someone who close to you. So gradually then we increase to someone you don't know, someone a little bit far. Then gradually we increase to as much as we can. This kind of feeling. And I think in many teachings, also that in Jamyang it explains how can we shift our mind for boundless love. First, generating loving kindness, needing loving kindness. Then, if you feel kind of too much attached or something, then we shift to things like Shamba, Yinji, Gawa, and Shamba, loving kindness. Yinji, compassion, and Gawa, the rejoices, equanimity. So the shifting this. Shifting your focus, changing to this four boundless love. Shamba is generally loving kindness, the wish all will be happy, not to be suffer, so focusing on that. And then Yingje compassion, focusing on, this is an important point, the focusing on people who suffer from negative emotions. Because quite easily we can feel to someone who is like physically sick, or someone who has very poor and not enough to live. It's sort of naturally. Most people naturally feel that. Sometimes we forget the powerful and famous people. They also suffer so much from their ego and pride. So similarly, we also feel sorry for the rich and famous people also. Just more difficult. If you see someone in a limousine smoking cigar, you're not going to be so sorry. So the thing is, first loving kindness. So focusing on loving kindness, and then sometimes if we become little bit attachment, too much attachment, feeling there's too much attachment, then you shift your focus to the suffering. Someone who's suffering from poverty or emotion, whatever, then you feel focused on suffering. And then sometimes thinking too much on the suffering, you feel like depressed, you feel sad. Then you shift to rejoice. Someone who's practicing well, someone who's happy. So then you feel rejoice. Focus your mind to rejoice. Then you're thinking of all the happy thought. Then sometimes you become so sort of jumpy. Then you shift to equanimity. And then too long in equanimity, sometimes you feel indifference. Then again you shift to loving kindness. And then in order to train in this kind of method, then the Lojong always emphasizes on using our breath. When you breathe out all your virtues, positive thought, all sentient beings. When you breathe in, you try to bring in the suffering and all the negative karmic deeds into oneself. This is a very skillful method to train our mind. And sometimes people ask this question, we're thinking of all sentient beings. What about my immediate family? Am I neglecting them? Am I forgetting them? This is sometimes the question that comes. So this is not neglecting them, but bringing all sentient beings to the level of your loved one. Bringing all sentient beings to the level of your loved one. And by doing this practice, you naturally become a better person, more understanding, more loving person. Then it will benefit the immediate ones, the someone close to you or more. So therefore we don't have to worry about that neglecting kind of thoughts. From our side, we sort of shine like a sun, we shine to all sentient beings. Those who are close will have more heat, more warmth, because they are close. But from your side, you don't have to make indifference. Shine to all sentient beings. So that's a good example. So 다시는 그 뻔해서 자기 생각 빠르고 가지고 Swasti. Sriwijaya Dharmakirti Center. Always Sumatara selling the Bodhichitta Lojong Lam Zanin Chifu Salam Pokato. Ngajin Dalji Lonsu Chipa Ekazan Palatado, Name selling thing. Change the Sumatra selling to Sleeping to Nanda Chain Zeta become the joint. Shop Jericho, the engine Chuda. Jason, Shechen Rabjam Rinpoche. So this is something I wrote last time when I came to make an aspiration that the teaching of Dharmakirti will flourish again in the land of Sumatra.